When a woman decides to live without sex, something begins to change, not only in her body, but in her entire psyche. From a young age, society taught her that her worth depended on the strength of the desire, pursuits, or admiration she aroused. However, as soon as she steps away from this game, the energy that once flowed outward begins to return to her. It's not about deprivation, but about reorientation. Many believe that sexual abstinence weakens women, making them dry, hard, or bitter. But this view stems from a misunderstanding of energy and what happens when it regains power, previously dissipated among lovers' fantasies and unexpressed needs. The asexual woman becomes a paradox in the eyes of the world. She ceases to be a bargaining chip. She can no longer be won over by easy affection or manipulated by the attention of others. She begins to radiate a different kind of radiance, fueled not by the flesh, but by the soul. There is something primitive about sexuality, yes, because it is one of the central forces of life. But this strength does not always need to manifest itself outwardly. There are times when it must be contained, refined, absorbed, not out of shame, but out of holiness. When a woman chooses abstinence, not out of fear or repression, but by conscious decision, her energy crystallizes. It becomes more vivid, more magnetic, and more focused. His body, previously conditioned to seek external approval, begins to generate its own intensity. This is felt in his presence. He may speak little, but when he opens his mouth, everyone stops to listen. His aura takes on a density, not of sadness, but of sovereignty. He asks nothing, implies nothing, and waits. She turned inward, and in that immersion, she drew on a reserve most never do. Her interest in love diminished, not because she withdrew into herself, but because she saw clearly, without the veil of desire or the fog of need. She saw the games, the masks, the superficiality of situations that once excited her. Now her vitality springs from within. Her mind sharpens, her creativity blossoms, her intuition expands until it becomes undeniable. That same life force that once flowed through her veins, desire begins to sprout in the form of vision, insight, and premonition. Such a woman is capable of building nations, writing scriptures, or forging the future. And that's precisely why she's intimidating. She can't be bought. Her energy is inexhaustible. She doesn't flirt to feel appreciated. She doesn't dress just for attention. She doesn't play a role. She embodies the raw, unpolished essence of femininity that lies beneath the layers of acting. Living without sex, time slows down. She begins to notice the details, in the cadence of her breathing, in the rhythm of her thoughts, in the memories hitherto buried by distractions. Her dreams become clearer, her emotions more transparent, and the truth emerges, not only about others but about herself. She recognizes where she has given too much, to those who did not deserve her gentleness, her devotion, her body, and she forgives herself, not for having given, but for having understood that giving indiscriminately is not love, but self-abandonment. In this silence, she confronts herself. She faces her shadows. The void speaks, and a hunger arises, not sexual but spiritual, revealing her true inner thirst. This is precisely when most people throw themselves into the arms of someone, anyone, just to fill the void. But the awakened woman remains. She listens. She allows herself to feel the pain without numbing it. She doesn't send messages, doesn't look for substitutes. She remains silent in the face of the void until it transforms, and transform it does. For emptiness is not a punishment, it is an invitation. In this space, her soul begins to weave new patterns, new identities, new truths. She stops being the one waiting to be chosen. She begins to choose herself again and again with devotion. Those around her notice. She's called intimidating, intense, cold. But it's not coldness, it's clarity. It's not cruelty, it's moderation. It's not bitterness, it's a limitation. And it disturbs a world accustomed to seeing women devour each other for attention, beg for affection, tear each other apart just to be held in its arms for a moment. But she perseveres. She nourishes herself. She celebrates her own skin, not for how it looks, but for how it feels when her own hands bless her. She doesn't wait to be woken up. She's awake, full, alive, without the slightest touch. They say a woman in her power is a revolution. And it's true, a woman who lives without sex becomes a revolutionary, not because she rejects pleasure, but because she reclaims it in her own way. She now knows that her body is not a bargaining chip, that the pleasure it provides is not a reward for her performance, that her value is not measured by her desire. Her steps change. She does not rush. She no longer chases. Her gaze no longer searches for possibilities. It pierces illusions. She smiles less, but when she does, it is sincere. It comes from the womb. She comes from the same place that once cried out in despair and now roars with sovereignty. This woman is a source of healing, but not everyone can welcome her. She is not diluted to be assimilated. She's not shrunk to fit someone's imagination. She's no longer a character in someone else's story. She is the author, the narrator, and the twist. And the best part is, you don't hold a grudge. You're not cynical. You don't punish the world for what it didn't give you. You simply understood that you were always the gift. And now you choose where, how, and with whom to share it. Some will call you lonely, but solitude isn't emptiness. It's a sanctuary. It is in solitude that she hears the voice of her deepest essence. It is in solitude that her body becomes sacred again. It is in solitude that her inner masculinity awakens, the part that protects, nourishes, and guides her. She no longer seeks a man to complete her. She has already integrated him within herself, and if a man comes, he will find not a space to fill, but an entire universe to explore. She won't ask him to save her. She won't collapse in his arms just to feel feminine. She will meet him in his fullness, and that's rare. It's sacred. It's what makes her unforgettable. Many will try to touch her, but few will be able to reach her, because it's not her skin that's protected. It's her soul, and entry is by invitation only. There are no more open doors, only gates guarded by lions. The woman who lives without sex becomes a priestess of her own energy. You have experienced what happens when you offer it carelessly. You have felt the exhaustion, the pain, and the spiritual aftermath of an unbalanced union. She no longer seeks friction. She yearns for fusion. She doesn't just seek companionship. She yearns for communion. Her silence has become sacred. Her gaze, a prayer. Her energy is no longer scattered. It now radiates. And even if the world doesn't understand her, it certainly perceives her. When she enters a room, something changes. Not in her appearance, but in the vibration she gives off. She's not here to entertain. She's a mirror. She reflects what others refuse to see in themselves. That's why they fear her. That's why they desire her. That's why they can't forget her. This is not a call to chastity, but to awareness. Sex is not the enemy. Disconnection is. And when a woman decides to live without sex, even temporarily, she chooses to reconnect with herself, with her truth, with her sacred fire. It's not an easy path. Her body screams, her mind rebels, The ghosts of her former lovers whisper in the night. But she doesn't respond, not because she believes herself to be superior, but because she has finally remembered who she is. She is the temple. She is the altar. She is the flame. And not all are worthy of venerating the places she passes through.